In the dead of winter in 1855, a snowstorm swept across the rolling hills and stone villages of Devon in southwest England. By morning, the landscape lay still and silent under a thick, glittering shroud of snow. Smoke curled lazily from the chimneys, and the world seemed, for a moment, at peace. But that calm was an illusion. As dawn broke, villagers stepped outside to begin their day and found themselves staring at something inexplicable. In the undisturbed snow were footprints, not the erratic prints of a stray animal or the heavy stomp of a work boot. These were precise, deliberate. A single line of hoof-like marks, each spaced exactly the same, stretching into the distance with uncanny uniformity. They did not meander, they did not falter. They cut straight through fields, over rooftops, across rivers, defying logic and reason. What they saw that morning would leave some frightened and others fascinated, and a few would never sleep quite the same again. Turn off the lights and get comfy, because this is the story of the Devil's Footprints. In February 9th, 1855, after a bitter night of snow and wind, the countryside of Devon was blanketed in white, but beneath this seemingly peaceful layer of snow lay something that no one expected. In the early hours of the morning, residents began to notice something strange outside their homes. A single line of hoof-like tracks, as if made by a two-legged creature walking upright. These prints were uniform, nearly identical, each about 4 inches long, 3 inches wide, each spaced 8 to 16 inches apart. The tracks appeared in gardens, across rooftops, and even on top of narrow stone walls. Some villagers claimed they crossed their properties in perfect, unwavering lines. In the town of Topsham, a clergyman reported that the tracks passed through his garden, rose up onto the roof of his vicarage, and then disappeared into thin air. In Exmouth, locals described prints leading up to and vanishing at the edge of the River Exe. No one had seen or heard anything, just footprints, hundreds of them, marching through the stillness of the snow. By midday, word of the strange tracks had spread across Devon. Townspeople from Dawlish, Teignmouth, and beyond gathered in hushed circles to discuss what they had seen. The same type of track, the same unbroken pattern. What truly astonished the residents was the route. The prints did not follow roads or animal paths. They passed over haystacks, climbed onto rooftops, threaded between narrow garden gates. One set was found leading through a 16-inch diameter drain pipe. Another crossed the River Dart, continuing on the other side, as if the creature had simply walked across the water. Some villagers tried to follow the tracks, hoping to find their source, but the trail often ended abruptly or doubled back without explanation. Others found prints inside enclosed courtyards with no sign of entry. Newspapers caught wind of the phenomenon. Letters and reports flooded in. Panic and fascination spread as fast as the footprints themselves. Was this the work of a clever hoaxer, an animal, or something supernatural? As night fell on February 9th, the towns and hamlets of Devon were gripped by unease. Some families prayed behind locked doors, others burned protective herbs or chalked protective symbols on thresholds. The churches held emergency sermons. Local priests warned of spiritual warfare. One even declared the prints a mark of the devil, walking the earth in search of sinners. In taverns and inns, people whispered darker theories, that something ancient had arisen, that the storm had not come alone. And then, the prints stopped. No creature was found, no prankster stepped forward. The tracks melted with the snow, but the fear remained. For those who witnessed it, it wasn't just an odd event, it was a rupture in the ordinary, a brief moment when reality bent just enough to let something else slip through. As the years passed, the legend of the Devil's Footprints grew, but skeptics and researchers have since proposed a wide range of natural explanations. The first theory is an escaped kangaroo. This is one of the more bizarre theories, that a kangaroo had escaped from a private menagerie in Sidmouth. The shape of the footprints, a kind of hoof-like impression, could resemble that of a hopping marsupial, but this doesn't explain the precision, the length of the trail, or how the prints passed over the rooftops. The second theory follows this same train of thought. Some have argued that badgers or otters moving through the snow could leave unusual tracks. In cases where snow melts and refreezes, tracks can become distorted, but the trail covered over 100 miles in a single night. Could any terrestrial animal manage that without being seen? The next theory is one of hysterical misinterpretation. It's possible that people were seeing different sets of tracks and assuming they were all from the same source. Add in the mass panic, superstition, and poor communication in rural 19th century England, and you have the perfect set of ingredients for collective folklore. The next theory suggests that the mysterious formations were caused by atmospheric conditions, hail, snow, or other rare meteorological patterns, but again, no explanation accounts for the sheer oddity of the paths taken, through narrow passageways, over roofs, and even into barns. The last theory on this list is hoax or human prank. Perhaps the most reasonable explanation: someone or several people using stilts, tools, or templates created the tracks to stir panic, but to hoax an area that wide with such consistency without being seen, that would require not only extreme coordination but remarkable dedication. And yet none of these theories fully account for what was seen that night. No hoaxer was ever caught, no animal was ever confirmed. The footprints came, they marched across a frozen countryside, and then they were gone. Modern minds may scoff, but for those in Devon in the bleak winter of 1855, it felt as if something had passed through, something ancient, something uninvited. Fact or folklore, myth or mystery, that is for you to decide. Thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed this investigation, please subscribe to the channel and like the video, it really helps a lot. Also share your thoughts in the comments, I'd love to get some ideas on what videos to do next.